Men, here we go. Nico, thank you, sir. Noah Lyles, number 1, no surprise. Kenny Bednarek, 2. Erriyon Knighton, 3. Joseph Fonbele, 4. Andre DeGrasse, 5. Fred Kerley, 6. Dream Richards, 7. Norman in there at 8. And then Alexander Ogando, 9. And Aaron Brown is in 10th. So Lyles, clear number 1. There was some questions prior to Eugene, but he answered all of them in Eugene. And then post-Eugene, he went on an incredible tear.
Yeah.
And put himself in the mix for that Athlete of the Year conversation. Bednarek and Knighton, they helped complete that U.S. sweep. Fonbele, we've both been really big on him ever since his time at Florida. DeGrasse, we can talk more about him later. Kerley, remember, made the 200 team, picked up that injury, but I don't think anybody's going to count him out based on how fast he is in the 1 and the 4. Richards was solid and then had a good indoor season as well, too. I put Michael Norman in there, even though he may not. Now, he might move. He might be the first one out because if he's never going to run the 200, we're not going to keep him in there.
Yeah.
But I've always I said it when he announced he was going to the 100. I said, why not the 2? I like him better in the 2 than the 1.
And he has some wins over Noah Lyles.
He has some wins. He had a 19.7 last year. So if you're looking at marks from last year, he stands out. We just don't know what he's going to do. So I kept him in there. And then Ogando and Brown are under the radar guys, but they both made the final in Eugene and both ran well at the Diamond League final too.
So yeah, no really debate on the Noah Lyles. Kenny B, Mr. Consistent. You think maybe you would go with like Knighton showing what he ran at the top of his game with his fast 19.5 in LSU, but Bednarek knows how to time his season perfectly, and I feel like he's going to be Mr. Consistent, and I think his floor is 3rd.
Whereas who's that? Knighton?
No, Bednarek.
Bednarek, yeah.
I think his floor is 3rd, which is a really high floor to have.
Very high floor, yeah.
Like, you can't get a higher floor.
Yeah. Your basement must be super big to have a floor that high.
Yeah, you don't even have it. He doesn't even have a basement.
Okay. Uh-huh.
He lives in North Carolina with like those high rise like beach houses or so for flooding.
On stilts. Well, not just in North Carolina. Those in the Hollywood Hills too.
Yeah,
they got the
North
stilts.
Carolina.
Yeah.
So like his baseline 3rd.
Okay.
3rd floor.
Gotcha.
You have to go up an elevator to get to his basement.
Okay.
Go up an elevator to get to his
going.
basement. I also think he's going to win the world title this year.
Have you said that before?
I have,
I'm
going to continue to say it until.
Keep going.
I'm going to be saying it while they're 100 meters into the 200 meter final.
All right, keep going.
But I think the question here is, what is this? Knighton is so young.
Yeah.
And he ran so well, so young, and has shown a good level of improvement year over year. I think his 2022 was better than his 2021.
Yeah.
But for his 2023 to be better than his 2022, he's going to have to beat the American record holder. Or he's going to have to beat a Kenny B who's running phenomenal.
Or a Fred Kerley.
There could be a situation where Knighton gets better, but I could see Knighton run better in 2023, but not even medal. I could see him run better in 2023 and then lose to his training partner, Fonbele. He trains with Fonbele, right?
Yeah, they did last year at least. Yeah.
Like, which is crazy that you can get better, but just the people around the 200 is so good this year that even your improvement may not result in an improvement of your place.
Yeah, then if he starts to lock in the consistent times of the, it's not even about the 19.4s. It's just, all right, the consistent 19.7s. I think that's what's going to take him to the next levels. Because the 19.49 and the 19.42, all that stuff will come with the consistency. Yeah. Noah Lyles has taught us that. Yeah. Right? You bang out enough in just get your race pattern nailed down, make it so you're consistently, you don't just need a world championship type setting or a US type setting to run fast. You can do it all the time. DeGrasse was the interesting one because it was tough to pick him. I know he had a rough year last year with injuries, but he's a guy I'm just not going to give up on until we see him go through a championship where he doesn't make any noise. And he made noise at the championship last year.
More about one.
Yeah, it was at the last possible moment, but Andre DeGrasse let you know he was there. Now, he raced after the World Championships as well. None of it was crazy good. And listen, this 5 spot, he might even move down a little bit once the racing starts, because the one thing we know about DeGrasse is he's focused on peaking when it counts, and he always gets into form, or usually gets into form all things considered, when it's time to go. So some people might say he's too high at 5, but it's just I'm going off of history, and I'm going off of the fact that the World Championship race that lets you know who he was the 4x1. It wasn't the 200. I know he had a lot of injury, health sort of issues last year. Kerley at 6, you could say other than Knighton, maybe now. Actually, a lot of these guys have a pretty high ceiling because Knighton, it's like youth. Fanbele, it's the start. Kerley is just figuring out the 200. There's a lot of room for improvement in a number of these guys.
For some reason, I just don't see Kerley getting better than the 200. I see him getting better in the 100 this year. Like I can see him PRing by, well, what's his PR?
76, right?
I guess I could see Kerley break the American record in the 100.
See, I feel the opposite. I
just don't think he's a good 200 meter runner.
I would bet more on the 200 PB than the 100 PB.
Well, you can PB in the PBing in the 100's harder though because it's a more impressive mark for him to PB with his current mark.
You literally just said you don't see him getting any better in the 200. That's
PBing. But better in the 200 means going from the times he's running to running like
1976
Erriyon Knighton and Noah Lyles type times.
Okay.
Like I see Fred Kerley more likely breaking the American record in the 100 than him running 19.4.
Okay, fair, but he doesn't need to run 19.4 to be a medal winner at all. He might need to,
I don't know.
He might need to be 19.
Because Knighton has run 19.4. Yep. Lyles has run 19.3.
I don't think they're all going to do it the same day.
Bednarek hasn't done that, but he's going to win the world title. Yeah. So like,
is he? You haven't said that yet. I love it. Okay, but no, what I'm saying is, on that day, he doesn't need to be that quick. Is what I'm saying. Kenny B's 1968 is his personal best. That was from Tokyo. I just think Kerley's obviously got a lot of room to grow and figure it out, and if he can, then he's going to be really good in that.
Also, like how Kerley, Richards, and Norman. I mean, Richards, he's a 200 meter guy, but he was also kind of 400 a little bit during the college days. Seeing like the 3 400 type guys, Kerley, Richards, and Norman all in the top 8 and 6, 7, 8.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
All right, Norman. Again, we've talked about Norman a bunch. I don't know if we need to do more.
We don't need to do
more on that.
We're tapped out on Norman.
Well,
you have a quota on the amount of Norman talk you can do per week, and it's Friday. It's Monday, so you don't use them all up now.
I've always enjoyed talking about Michael Norman. He's a great athlete.
You love talking about the Mount Sac race that he ran in April.
43:45.
Yeah, you have that poster board written on your wall.
So does this happen with you? Sometimes just stick in your head and you can't forget them, and then other times that are probably more important to know, you'll just forget within the sport. Is that the case with you? Like certain athletes, times do they stick in your head more than others?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. For some reason, the 43:45 is just ingrained in my head. I can't dislodge it. But if you said, what did Kerley run last year at Worlds to win the 100? Like I know he ran the 9.76 in the first round.
I remember that.
Of course you do. That started a whole thing. But what did he run the final?
I have no idea.
I don't remember, but I remember Michael Norman's 43:45. It's just weird.
It's because you've been talking about it for your entire life.
No, since he did it, which was
it's like that
2018, 2019.
It's like that Jim Carrey movie about the number. Was it 33 or something?
Well, I just thought this guy's gonna break the world record and be the first guy to break 44 or 43. That's what I thought that meant at the time. Ogando, Brown, those guys are solid. They're 9 and 10. Other people that didn't get on here, you can talk about Andrew Hudson for Jamaica. I'd like to see some of the like Blake and Oblique Seville.
Yeah.
Get in some twos.
What about Mr. Matthew Bowling?
Yeah. I guess he'd be in the next 10, right? If we went 20 deep on these.
I mean, we ran the fastest time indoors.
We are not going to go 20 deep because there are a lot of events already. Yeah. So we're spreading ourselves out across the events.